5 seconds to a life-changing discovery. Employee reveals hidden truth that stopped the wedding. Jessica stood behind the counter of the Maplewood diner, her fingers deftly flipping pancakes and her heart racing. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. She was hours away from marrying Mark, her high school sweetheart. The diner was buzzing as usual, but her mind was a whirlwind of nerves. Dreams danced in her head, the kind that stretched as far as the sky and twinkled like the stars in her small town. But with them came the fears of her humble upbringing, clashing with Mark's wealthy family. She caught sight of Mr. Thompson, the elderly veteran who regularly occupied his favorite booth. His face, weathered yet kind, looked up at her with a knowing glimmer. "Jessica," he called out, his voice laced with urgency. She leaned in, heart pounding. "You need to know something about Mark's family. It's not all gold and glitter, and you may not want to walk down that aisle without knowing the truth." As he unveiled a tale of old family feuds and economic injustice tangled in Maplewood's history, Jessica's heart sank. Could this revelation destroy everything? The walls of the diner seemed to close in around her, the voices of diners transforming into whispers of worry. This wasn't just her life hanging in the balance. It was about two families, the rift and disparity between them, and the hopes and dreams interwoven like threads of a delicate tapestry. Before she could process the weight of his words, he added, "You have the choice. The truth can be painful, but it's a path worth walking." She felt a tightness in her chest, love for Mark battling her loyalty to her family and justice. As the wedding ceremony loomed, the air crackled with tension. Guests arrived, their delight shadowed by unspoken judgments. Families with their conflicting ideals filled the church, the heavy aroma of lilies mixed with nervous anticipation. Just moments before she stepped into her new life, her heart raced like a runaway train. With the altar gleaming in front of her, Mark's bright eyes searched hers, full of hope and unyielding love. The whispers of Mr. Thompson echoed in her mind, raw and powerful. What if I'm stepping into a legacy of hidden shame? She thought, a storm brewing within. Would she choose the comfort of familiar love, or dive into chaos for truth? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The silence thickened as she inhaled, ready to confront everything. The weight of the truth hung heavy in the air. Jessica felt the gaze of friends, family, and strangers alike. Could she stand against the expectations of two worlds? Or was she destined to play the dutiful bride to a family that might not accept her? Tears pricked at her eyes as her heart thundered like a wild drum, each beat begging her to choose. Choose love. Choose truth. Suddenly, she was no longer just a waitress in Maplewood. She was a voice for justice, a participant in a history woven with hidden threads of disgrace. With Mark's eyes locked onto hers, the words to either solidify their union or unravel it trembled on her lips. What would she choose? Jessica felt time freeze as she stood at the altar. Mark's hopeful eyes softened, unaware of the turmoil raging within her. The world around them blurred into a dizzying haze of expectation. "Jessica!" Mark's voice was filled with warmth, urging her to speak. But what could she say? The truth hung like a noose around her neck, tightening with every heartbeat. If she spoke the words that danced on the tips of her lips, she risked everything. The love they shared, their dreams, the future they had built lovingly during all those years together. Glimpses of their past flashed through her mind. Their first date by the lake, laughing endlessly at the diner over milkshakes, and passionate moments under twinkling stars. Each memory felt like a piece of a puzzle, but she couldn't find the corner pieces to make it whole. The congregation shifted, their anticipation thick in the air. She sensed their collective breath held tight, a desperate hope for her to proceed. But she thought of Mr. Thompson's words. What if Mark's family was hiding dark secrets that could doom them both? Was love enough to withstand the weight of betrayal that ran through their families? Dearly beloved, the officiant began, jolting her back to the moment. She could feel her gut twisting, and her palms grew clammy. She had to say something, anything. But was it too late? Jessica? Mark's voice broke through her thoughts, his brow furrowing with concern. He was looking for assurance, seeking the promise of forever, and here she was trapped between shadows and light. The pressure crashed down. The room felt hot, and she could almost hear her heartache scream louder than the rustle of the guests. What if... she whispered, barely finding her voice. What if there are things about your family? Things I need to know first. Things you haven't told me? Confusion flickered across Mark's face. Time seemed to stretch. Allowing a mere few seconds could either shatter their world or reveal the strength of their bond. The church fell silent. Gasps erupted from the pews. Whispers skittered like restless leaves. Friends exchanged stunned glances, the air taut with uncertainty. Mark's expression shifted from confusion to concern, his brows knit tightly together. What do you mean? Jess, this is... I don't want to walk down that aisle without knowing everything, Mark. Please, I need... Jessica. Mr. Thompson's voice echoed from the back, cutting through her despair like a knife. Don't ignore the truth. Jessica's heart pounded. Mark looked towards the source, anger and disbelief shadowing his features. What truth? Who are you to interrupt our wedding? He snapped. Someone whose path was once twisted like yours, Mr. Thompson replied. The past cannot remain buried if you want a future together. Jessica's stomach twisted. She didn't want to hurt Mark, but how could she marry him, knowing there were pieces missing? How could she bind her life to a family whose shadows she barely understood? Tell me the whole truth, Mark, she urged, her voice fierce with emotion. What are you hiding? Silence wrapped around the church like a heavy blanket, the weight of her words pressing down hard. All eyes were on them, suspending a crucial moment filled with potential heartbreak and revelation. The question hung in the air, waiting for the answer. What would Mark say? How would the truth shape their future? In that moment, everything felt like it was about to change. Forever. Mark's gaze darted between Jessica and Mr. Thompson, a storm brewing behind his eyes. The air grew thick with tension as he inhaled deeply, struggling to find the words that might bridge the chasm Jessica had just opened. Jessica, I didn't think... His voice cracked, anger mingling with confusion. You don't know what you're asking. All around them, whispers erupted. Guests leaned in, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern, captivated by the unfolding drama. A mother clutched her daughter's hand, eyes wide. An elderly couple at the back murmured, sharing their shock. The room felt alive, the collective breath of the congregation holding tight as they waited for Mark's response. Do you think I would purposely keep something from you? Mark pressed, his voice rising just slightly. I love you. I need to know, Mark, Jessica urged again, the desperation in her voice echoing around the chapel. I can't marry you without knowing what's truly at stake. He took a step closer, the hurt flickering on his face, masking his anger. Are you saying you don't trust me? After everything we've shared? I trust you. I just need to understand the bigger picture. What if there's something that could change everything? The tears prickled at the corners of her eyes, reflecting her turmoil. Mark turned his head slightly, directing his attention toward Mr. Thompson, who stood resolute at the back. What do you know? He demanded, an edge creeping into his tone, anger and frustration colliding in his stare. "I know you're standing on the precipice of a lifetime decision without full knowledge of the shadows that loom," Mr. Thompson replied, his voice steady and firm, an anchor in the storm swirling around them. "Families aren't just made of love. Secrets can tear them apart." Jessica felt her heart racing, torn between love for Mark and the urgent need for truth that battled against her fear of losing him. The walls of the church echoed their uncertainty, sunlight filtering through stained glass, casting color onto the ground, a stark contrast to the darkness creeping into their future. "Please, Mark, tell me." She stepped closer, her voice softened, pleading. "If there's something there, if it matters, I want to face it with you. But I can't look into our future without understanding our past." The silence stretched, heavy as lead. Mark's eyes flashed with unspoken emotions, indecision playing out like a film across his face. He hesitated, his brow furrowing more deeply. The fight he displayed a moment ago began to melt away, replaced by the vulnerability that Jessica had come to love. "Jessica!" He breathed out, his voice dropping to a whisper, barely audible over the quiet gasp of the congregation. "There's so much we've never talked about. So many things my family doesn't want the world to know. But I didn't think—" His fingers curled into fists at his side as he fought to rein in his emotions. "Don't let this moment slip away. If it means saving our love, it's worth facing whatever it is." Jessica's heart beat louder, thumping like a drum in her chest, keeping time for the impending storm. With a sudden resolve, Mark straightened his posture, his expression shifting from helplessness to determination. "All right," he said firmly. "I'll tell you everything. But you have to promise to listen, and then we'll face whatever comes next together." Tears blurred Jessica's vision, a mix of fear and relief washing over her. She nodded, a silent vow exchanged amidst the tension of the situation. As all eyes remained glued to them, she braced for the unraveling truths that awaited them. But what revelations lay within the shadows of his family's past? Would their love be strong enough to withstand it all? Or would this be the moment their world came crashing down? Mark took a deep breath, the weight of unspoken secrets pressing down on him. The room buzzed with anticipation, and he could feel every piercing gaze, every ear straining to catch his words. Jessica stood before him, vulnerable and hopeful, yet the shadows of uncertainty loomed large. "I never wanted you to know this," he began, his eyes locking onto hers, as if searching for the strength to proceed. "My family. They've been keeping a secret for generations. One I thought I could escape when I left home." "What kind of secret?" Jessica asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's about my father," he replied, swallowing hard. "He isn't who everyone thinks he is. He made choices, terrible choices that have affected all of us. I've tried to shield you from that world, but I can't hide it any longer." The air thickened with unspoken words as murmurs rippled through the audience. Jessica's heart raced as she felt both fear and an undeniable pull toward him. "What did he do?" she pressed, her voice trembling, wanting the truth, no matter how painful. Mark hesitated, the memories clawing at him like brambles. "He was involved in something dangerous, business dealings that crossed ethical lines, relationships that crumbled because of it. I've seen the destruction it leaves behind. That's why we moved away. Why I stayed away longer than I should have. I didn't want that for us." His confession hung in the air like a heavy shroud. Jessica felt her heart constrict, but an understanding flickered within her. "I can't judge you for your father's actions, Mark. You've done everything you can to break free," she said gently, her tears continuing to blur her vision. "But you have to trust me too. It's a part of you, a part of us." "I know," he replied, his features softening as he found some relief in her words. I just didn't want to burden you with that truth. I thought if I kept it hidden, it wouldn't impact our future. But I was naive. The past has a way of catching up to you. The guests around them were rapt, some leaning forward as if they could touch the fragile moment unfolding. Mark, we'll face this together, Jessica reassured him. Whatever your father did, it doesn't define us. It doesn't define you. Just tell me what it is you fear. Tell me the whole truth. Let's make our own path. Mark's shoulders tensed as if the weight of his family's history was immovable. He lost everything, Jessica. His business collapsed, relationships shattered, and I fear my past. It'll come back to haunt us. I don't want you to be a target. Realization seeped into her bones. She felt the fragmented pieces of their shared future being threatened by something far beyond their control. But you're not him. We can build something, together. Something that isn't bound by your past. The longing in her eyes reached out to him, igniting a flicker of hope within his heart. Maybe you're right, he conceded, his voice steadying. But it also means I need to confront my past, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. As silence enveloped them again, Jessica felt a surge of determination. Then let me be there to help you. Don't isolate yourself in this. Together we can unearth these shadows and push them away. For good. Just then, Mr. Thompson stepped forward, drawing their attention. The truth may hurt, but burying it will hurt even more. It's time to stop living in fear. The choice lies in your hands, Mark. Will you face your father's legacy, or let it dictate your future? In that moment, Jessica's heart thudded with both trepidation and hope. Could they really navigate the unknown? Would their love be enough to mend the fractures yet to come? Mark met her gaze, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Jessica, he started, his voice thick with emotion. There's more you need to know. I haven't told you everything. Jessica's breath hitched. What else lay hidden in the depths of Mark's past? What other family secrets threatened to dismantle their fragile future? Mark's heart raced, each beat echoing in his ears. The air felt charged, as if the very walls were holding their breath. As he looked into Jessica's eyes, he knew he was standing on the edge of something vast and terrifying. I was just a kid when I first discovered the truth, he began, struggling with the weight of his words. My father, he didn't just ruin his life. He hurt people, innocent people. And when I found out, I made a choice. I thought if I left, if I raised myself away from that world, it would disappear. But it didn't. It just lingered, overshadowing everything I found joy in. Jessica stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. What do you mean? What happened? He had a partner, someone who owed him money, and when things went south, well, I overheard a conversation. I didn't understand fully then, but I knew enough to be scared. People started disappearing. I thought my family was in danger. His voice cracked, the memories flooding back like a broken dam. They had a debt to settle, and doing so came with consequences. I overheard my dad talking about making things right, in ways that terrified me. And I thought, if it was that dangerous for us, it would be even worse for anyone who got too close to us, like you, he confessed. A wave of emotion swept over Jessica. She felt a mix of fear for Mark, compassion, and the sadness of knowing that love could sometimes feel so frail in the face of darkness. Mark, you were just a child. You shouldn't have carried that weight alone. But you're not alone anymore. He shook his head, the guilt creeping back in. It didn't end there. As I got older, I found some files. Old records in a hidden drawer. Payments, names, and a trail of ruined lives. My dad's business partner wasn't just corrupt. He was involved in something much larger. I always thought we were safe moving away, that cutting ties would solve everything. But when I realized I couldn't escape my lineage, That's when I started falling apart. A quiet gasp escaped Jessica's lips. The fibers of their reality seemed to fray, tension humming in the silence that followed his revelation. "What do we do now?" she asked softly, heart tightening at the implications of his words. Mark rubbed his neck, an old habit born from anxiety. "I don't know. I thought about confronting him. But what if it puts us in danger? What if it puts you in harm's way?" The desperation in his eyes mirrored the turmoil within his heart. "If we're going to face this, we need to go to the source. You have to reach out to him. It's time to confront your past, Mark, not run from it," Jessica urged, determination settling in her voice. "What if more secrets come out? What if I uncover something worse? I can't risk you getting hurt because of my father's choices," he argued, his expression a storm of conflict. "Listen to me." Jessica took a deep breath. "No matter what comes to light, we will face it together. You can't do this alone anymore. You've survived so much. But now it's time to stand up." Just as he was about to respond, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket, interrupting the tense moment. They both jumped, the urgency of the sound slipping into the fray. An anxious silence followed, and Mark pulled it out, his expression shifting from confusion to dread. Jessica leaned closer, peering at the screen. "What is it?" His face paled. "It's from an unknown number. But the message..." He swallowed hard. "It's about my father. They know something, and they expect action. Or else." Jessica's breath caught in her throat as the walls around them seemed to close in. "What does it say?" "There's no time," he replied, a new intensity igniting in his eyes. "I need to find out what this means. But whatever happens next, Jessica, promise me you'll stay safe." Her heart sank at the thought of him facing whatever storm lay ahead alone. "You can't push me away. We're in this together." As their worlds hung in the balance, an unshakable feeling pressed upon them. What doors would this new chapter open, and would they survive the truth behind Mark's father's legacy? Mark nodded slowly, steeling himself for the fight ahead. "Then let's unravel this together, but be prepared for anything." And as uncertainty loomed, Mark felt the truth beckoning them both into the abyss. What awaited them on the other side? Mark stood frozen for a moment, the hum of his phone still vibrating in his palm. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was the point of no return. He felt Jessica's presence beside him, steady and unwavering, a lighthouse against the storm he was about to face. "Let's find somewhere private," she suggested, glancing around nervously. The coffee shop buzzed with chatter, a stark contrast to the tension wrapping around them. He nodded, aware that every second counted. They slipped outside, the chilly air biting at their skin, providing a brief reprieve from the stifling atmosphere inside. Mark took a deep breath, trying to clear his mind as they headed toward a nearby park. A small bench nestled beneath a sprawling oak seemed to beckon them. As they sat, Mark's fingers danced over the screen. The message stared back at him, chilling and urgent. "I wish I could ignore this," he muttered, struggling to form the words as he read it aloud. "You've been warned. Your father's secrets are not just his anymore. Do not make us wait." "What does that even mean?" Jessica's voice was firm, but a flicker of fear fluttered in her eyes. "I don't know. It's like they're tied to something bigger, something dangerous." Each word felt heavier, pressing down on his chest. What if we called the police?" Jessica suggested, her brows furrowed in thought. "They might be able to protect you, us, from whatever is happening." Mark's heart raced. The thought had crossed his mind, but he couldn't ignore the shadows of doubt creeping in. What if they're already involved? What if this goes deeper than we realized? Jessica leaned in closer, her expression fierce. "That's why we need to confront it. Hiding won't help. If these people are watching, they need to know we're not afraid." He looked at her, a swell of gratitude washing over him. Here she was, standing by him, unflinching. "I don't want you to get hurt," he whispered, more to himself than to her. "It's too late for that. I already feel the weight of it all. But if we're going to face this, we have to do it head on," she replied, determination mixing with warmth in her voice. Mark exhaled slowly, the air escaping like the last remnants of his resolve. "I never expected to drag you into this darkness. It was my choice to stay away for so long. That choice was made for you as a kid, Mark. You're not that boy anymore. You're a man who understands the cost of silence. We can break that cycle together." Her words ignited something inside him. The realization that they could shift the narrative, hold the pen of their story, filled him with a newfound sense of purpose. "All right then. Let's find out what we're up against, together." Just then, Mark's phone buzzed again. The screen lit up with a call from an unknown number, an omen of what lay ahead. "Do we answer?" Jessica asked, her eyes wide. He hesitated, the gravity of the moment gnawing at him. "We have to. This could be our chance to learn more. But whatever they say..." He took a deep breath. "We have to stick together." She nodded, and he steeled himself, heart hammering like a war drum. "Here goes nothing." Mark pressed the green button, bringing the phone to his ear. "Mark," a low voice crackled through the line, sending chills down his spine. "It's time you learned the truth about your family, and the price of knowing it." Jessica's grip tightened on his arm like a vice. Mark's pulse quickened as he braced himself for what he was about to uncover. Would they be prepared for the truth and the choices that would inevitably follow? "Who is this?" Mark forced his voice to remain steady, but there was a tremor beneath his calm exterior. "The voice you wish you could ignore. We know what you're searching for, and we can help you find it. But first, you might want to be alone." "This isn't exactly a conversation for crowded parks," the voice replied, low and dripping with darkness. Mark exchanged a fast glance with Jessica. She looked frightened, but there was something else. Curiosity, a need to dig deeper into this layer of madness. "Where do you want to meet?" he demanded, his grip tightening around the phone. "Tomorrow evening. The old train station at Sunset Road. Come alone, or you'll regret it." Before Mark could respond, the line went dead, leaving only the echo of his own breath mingling with the rustling leaves around them. Jessica was staring at him with wide eyes. "What do we do?" "I don't know." He shook his head, disbelief washing over him like cold water. "This is insane." "You have to go," she insisted. "We need answers. It's not safe for you. I won't risk putting you in danger." "Mark, you don't get to decide that. We're in this together whether you like it or not. If they're after you, it's only a matter of time before they come for me too." She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "We need to know what they want, and what it has to do with your father." The memories of his childhood rushed back, swirling in his mind like leaves in the wind. Secrets from his father, the whispers he overheard, the shadows that loomed over his family. "I thought I could leave it all behind," he murmured, half to himself. "You can't run from your past, Mark," Jessica said firmly. "But you can confront it. Together." A wave of emotion surged through him, a blend of fear and gratitude, and he felt a flicker of hope. "Okay," he said finally. "But maybe we should come up with a plan. If this is dangerous, I want us to be prepared." They sat together, brainstorming next steps, their breath visible in the nippy air. Sharing ideas felt electric, transforming the heavy weight of fear into something lighter, almost manageable. They discussed possibilities of what they might uncover, the fears laid bare between them, and the strength that they could draw on from one another. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, casting a warm orange glow across the park, Mark looked at Jessica, the light catching in her eyes. Despite the uncertainty, He felt a rush of appreciation. She was more than a friend. She was the anchor when his world felt adrift. Tomorrow, after the meeting, whatever we learn, we need to stay close. No secrets. No isolating ourselves, he said, conviction in his voice. Agreed. But promise me one thing, she said, locking her gaze on him. If things get too intense, if you're in danger, you walk away. We find another way. He nodded, though a part of him wanted to believe he could face whatever was thrown at him. As they stood up to leave, a soft breeze rustled the leaves around them, a gentle whisper of encouragement. Let's go home, he said. But as they began to walk, that familiar chill resurged. He couldn't shake the feeling that something dark was closing in on them, waiting to strike. Could they truly confront a danger that had haunted him for so long? Or was it all going to unravel before they even had a chance to fight back? Mark shuddered at the thought, dread pooling in his stomach as they walked away, the sun slipping out of sight like a secret finally out of reach. The night passed in a blur of restless thoughts for Mark. He turned in bed, the shadows dancing across the walls fueled by the dim light from the street lamp outside. Every creak of the house echoed in the silence, amplifying his fears. What awaited him at the train station? What truths would he uncover about his father and that haunted legacy? Each question weighed heavy, binding him tighter in a grip of anxiety. By morning, the sun peeked timidly through the curtains, and Mark felt the familiar sensation of hope battling against dread. He pulled on a worn jacket, glancing at Jessica, who was quietly sipping coffee at the kitchen table. Her expression was serious, but determination painted her features. They exchanged a nod, an unspoken pact standing tall between them. You ready? Mark asked, the words threaded with both concern and anticipation. Ready as I'll ever be, she replied, her voice steady. Let's get this over with. As they drove towards the outskirts of town, the car felt like a capsule filled with unvoiced fears. The breeze through the open window was cool against his skin, but it did nothing to quell the heat of worry pooling in the pit of his stomach. The train station loomed ahead, its structure an echo from a time long past. It was weathered, standing alone, forgotten by the world. As they parked, the reality of the situation slammed into him. This was it, the confrontation he had been subconsciously avoiding his whole life. Mark and Jessica stepped out, the crunch of gravel beneath their feet louder than usual in the eerie quiet. He glanced around, half expecting shadows to leap forwards at any moment. We wait here? He asked, feeling unsure. For now. Just stay close to me, she said, scanning the area with guarded eyes. Minutes ticked by, stretching the air thick with tension. An unnatural quiet swallowed the world around them. The weight of uncertainty clung to them both, each second heavy as a stone. Mark fought the urge to pace, the unanswered questions gnawing at him. Then, finally, he noticed movement. A figure stepped out from behind the dilapidated station, cloaked in a long black coat, the collar turned up against the chill. You're here, the person said, voice low and raspy. You came. Mark's heart raced. Who are you? Without answering, the figure approached, his face obscured by shadow. You seek answers about your father, but be warned. Some truths are better left buried. Jessica took a step closer, gripping Mark's arm. What do you know? It's not just about him, boy, the figure said, looking directly into Mark's eyes. It's about you, your choices, who you choose to become. You have the power to change everything. Mark felt a surge of adrenaline flush through him. He wasn't just confronting ghosts from his past. He was standing at a crossroads, ready to define his destiny. What do you mean? He pressed, desperate for clarity. Meet me inside. The figure gestured toward the dimly lit station. Time is running out. Mark swallowed hard, glancing at Jessica. The moment stretched around them. He could feel the stakes rising, the air thick with possibility. What lay beyond those doors? Was he ready to uncover not just the truth of his father's past, but the shadows within himself? With one last look at the world they knew outside, he stepped forward. His heart raced, a poignant mix of fear and exhilaration propelling him into the depths of the station. As they crossed the threshold, the door creaked ominously behind them, sealing off all familiarity. What awaited them inside could change everything they thought they knew. Would they emerge with the knowledge to reclaim their lives, or would they walk deeper into darkness, never to return? Inside, the station felt suffocatingly dim, the air thick with dust and a sense of impending revelation. Shadows hugged the corners, and the faint smell of mildew lingered, reminding Mark of old memories that held no warmth. He took a deep breath, trying to quell the rising tide of fear. "Where are you?" he called out, his voice bouncing off the cracked walls. The figure had vanished, leaving behind an unsettling silence, broken only by the sound of his heartbeat pounding in his ears. Jessica stepped closer, her eyes wide, scanning the room. "Mark, are you sure about this?" she whispered, instinctively reaching for his hand. He nodded through clenched teeth, unwilling to show any wavering. Then, a rustle echoed from deeper within the station. A beam of light broke through a crack, revealing a small room cluttered with forgotten luggage and yellowed newspapers. "This way," the figure beckoned, emerging from the shadows again, voice dripping with urgency. "How do you know so much?" Mark demanded, a mix of curiosity and suspicion seeping into his tone. The figure paused, as if weighing the significance of his answer. "I've been waiting. Your father's past is entwined with more than you realize. Secrets are buried deeper than you can imagine." As they followed him into the room, the air grew heavy, almost electric with unspoken truths. The flickering light illuminated a faded photograph pinned to a corkboard. Mark squinted, trying to make out the faces. His father, looking youthful and carefree, surrounded by a group of men in ragged clothes, all smiling with a strange sense of camaraderie. "What is this?" he asked, stepping closer. The picture held a magnetism that drew him in, pulling at threads of emotion he hadn't fully acknowledged. "Those were your father's friends," the figure said, glancing away. "They were involved in something dangerous, something that changed everything. There's a reason he cut ties with them, and you might be next in line to bear the consequences." Mark felt his stomach twist. "What do you mean, next in line? Why are we even here?" Jessica squeezed his hand tighter, her pulse quickening. The connection between them felt like a lifeline in this shifting landscape of fear. "The choices you make now will ripple through history. This place, it holds the key," the figure said, gesturing toward a dusty suitcase in the corner. "Open it." With a nod from Jessica, Mark approached slowly, the weight of his ancestry pressing on his shoulders. He crouched down, heart pounding, feeling the coarse fabric of the suitcase beneath his fingers. A lump formed in his throat as he unlatched it, the sound echoing in the confined space. The lid creaked open, revealing a tangle of letters and old trinkets, a brass key, a notebook. He picked up the first letter, the handwriting delicate yet hurried, filled with urgency as it spoke of betrayal and fear. Each word dripped with emotion, revealing fragments of a life he had never known. "Mark," Jessica breathed, peering over his shoulder. "What does it say?" With each passing second, Mark felt as if the room was spinning, the past crashing into the present. Could this be the truth he sought? Would it shatter everything he believed? He read aloud, the words heavy with revelation, unaware of the figure's piercing gaze, filled with a mixture of hope and caution. As the last word left his lips, the figure stepped forward. "Now you know. What you decide next matters more than you think. But be cautious." Mark's pulse raced, the weight of understanding settling heavily upon him. The journey ahead wouldn't just redefine his relationship with his father's past, but could dig into the fabric of who he was becoming. "Where do we go from here?" Mark asked, his voice cracking slightly under the pressure. The figure's face split into a knowing grin. "That is entirely up to you. But remember, the next choice could open doors you never wanted to consider." As those words hung in the thick air, Mark sensed the true depth of the shadows he faced. He hadn't just walked into a hidden part of his father's life. He had stepped into a crossroads that would lead him deep into a legacy laced with danger and discovery. And just then, a distant rumble of thunder shook the building, as if the storm outside had come to mirror the one brewing within him. "Mark, let's figure this out together," Jessica said, her voice a beacon of light in the storm of uncertainty. What truth awaited them next, buried in the remnants of the past? What choices lay ahead, poised to redefine their lives forever? Mark stood in silence, absorbing the weight of the words hanging in the air. Jessica's hand felt reassuring in his, grounding him amidst the chaos swirling within. The figure loomed near, a specter of knowledge, and the unspoken heat in the room built further, like the impending storm outside. "You've been given a glimpse, but it doesn't end there," the figure urged, his voice low, echoing in the shadows. "This path stretches forward into your future." Mark felt the flicker of fear take root. "What do you mean?" he asked, his heart racing like wild horses. The walls around them felt alive, the memories beneath their feet whispering secrets lost to time. "Your legacy is intertwined with choices," the figure responded, stepping closer, intensity sharpening his features. "Those letters hold clues, but they also bind you to the past. Or they can be your blueprint for moving forward, your weapon against the darkness." Jessica's grip tightened, her eyes searching Mark's. "Whatever decisions we make them together," she said, her voice a steady anchor. "Together," Mark echoed, the significance of that word reverberating through him. He opened the notebook, ready to confront the reality contained within, feeling the magnetic pull of truth urging him onward. Each word he read wrapped around him like a tempest, leading him through the tale of betrayal, hope, and resilience. As he turned pages, the storm outside roared, the wind whipping around them as if nature itself was watching. The letters revealed truths about Mark's father, words filled with regret, deep sorrow, and attempts to shield his family from the remnants of a past steeped in danger. "I see it now," Mark murmured, the pieces fitting together like an old puzzle. "He didn't just run. He was trying to protect us from a legacy of pain." The figure nodded slowly, watching Mark's realization unfold. "That's the choice. You can choose to carry forth that burden or redefine what it means to be part of this family. Stand against it, Mark. Don't let it define who you become." A pulse of raw emotion surged through him, the clarity clashing with fear. "But how can I step into this? The danger is real. What if I can't protect Jessica? What if I unveil secrets that should stay hidden?" His voice wavered, vulnerability spilling out in waves. Jessica stepped forward, a fire ignited within her. "You don't have to carry this burden alone anymore. We build our own future, Mark. Together we face whatever shadows lie ahead." Her words settled within him, a balm of resolve mixed with hope. Mark took a deep breath. "Then let's uncover the truth. Together." As he clenched the notebook, he could feel the power emanating from it, ready to be embraced, not feared. Realization dawned. He had a choice, a chance to confront his father's past while forging their own future free of its shackles. "Let's expose it for what it really is. Rewrite what it means to be part of this legacy," he said. "If it's dark, if it's messy, so be it. We'll face it head on." The figure's eyes glimmered, a hint of pride flickering through his dark demeanor. "Sometimes the truth is a double-edged sword, but wield it wisely," he warned gently. Know that the cost of ignorance can be much higher. Mark nodded, a new fire igniting within him. I will face my father. We will unearth this past together. And if danger comes, we will confront it just as we are, together. As determination surged through him, a crack of thunder roared outside, a cathartic sound echoing their resolve. He turned to Jessica. Are you ready? Her radiant smile was contagious, lighting up the dim room. Always. They stepped toward the door, feeling an unbreakable bond forming between them, like an unyielding thread woven through the fabric of their lives. Just as they crossed the threshold, the figure called out once more, Remember, embrace the truth, but be prepared for the consequences. Choices echo through time. Mark and Jessica turned back briefly, their breaths steady, hearts synchronized in understanding. They stepped into the daylight, the storm fading behind them but leaving them invigorated and strengthened. They rushed toward the car, the weight of the past pushing them forward. They would confront Mark's father, find answers, and craft a future defined by their own decisions. No lingering shadows. A life full of light. As they drove away, resolutions danced in the space between them, hope unfurling in their hearts like a blooming flower. And as the horizon opened up, the journey they embarked on shimmered with possibility. This was just the beginning. Mark's heart swelled with purpose as he glanced at Jessica beside him. They would seize every moment to break free from the past, not just for them, but for the legacies they were creating with every choice. Their love would light the way forward. The truth might be daunting, but together, they would emerge victorious. And as they made the final turn toward the future, a feeling of exhilaration wrapped around them. Because this was their moment. The dawn of a new chapter awaited. And for Mark and Jessica, there was no turning back. Now, let's share this experience and shine a light for others who may be facing their own storms. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really does make a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. It means the world. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Your support is crucial, and only true fans understand its importance.